G'day everyone, Steve here from the Parent Rebellion. It's been a red hot minute, I know. Sarah and I have been flat stick over the last couple of weeks, but we haven't forgotten about you. Hope you're all doing well, and of course, parenting to the best of your ability as always. One of the topics I've kind of touched on before, but wanted to go a little bit more in depth with, was device addiction, or deviction, as I've named it. As most of you know, I run my own business, Mentored Minds. I work with predominantly younger males, but also have a couple of older clients. G'day, Daryl. And have recently picked up another client very much at the other end of the scale. I won't give away ages because I don't want to give away identities, but under the age of 10, so my youngest by far. But I generally work around the age of, 13 to 18. That's kind of my bread and butter. But one of the things that we talk about is the device addiction, right? Deviction. And we, particularly as adults and parents, have a fairly negative outlook on it. We think that it's all bad, and we probably would like to see our kids on these things a little bit less. But yesterday I got to realising with my younger client that these things may actually, now here's plot twist, get ready, these things may actually have some benefits. And particularly when you're talking about people on the spectrum, ADHD, that sort of thing. Watching these young guys navigate these games like Roblox and all that sort of thing. Really, I started to look at it from a different point of view. I have a completely different perspective on it now. I still think, like anything, it's all about balance, and too much of anything's not great. But I really started to think this morning in particular that these things are actually potentially helping some of these young guys in ways that we probably don't see. Now, watching them navigate through these games, they're actually problem solving. They're problem solving. They're finding ways to get around things. They're finding ways to advance through the game, advance through the levels. They're learning to negotiate with buying and swapping and selling garamas and bananas and whatever it is they sell, right? And swap. And although at this point that's all we see, I got to thinking that at some point, as long as they understand that these are skills they have learned, negotiation skills, how to navigate their way through a game, problem solving, right? If they can understand that all those things can be adapted to everyday life, they're probably going to be a little bit better off than we think they might. So we often think, well, they've got no social interaction, they're not getting out, they're getting no exercise, and we need to make sure all those things happen, right? But again, this is just my perspective on it. I'm looking for your opinion as always, but I really feel like there are some advantages there that we maybe aren't seeing or thinking about, right? And again, it really occurred to me yesterday and again today that perhaps, just perhaps, these things are not as sinister as we think, and they are actually teaching some skills. And looking at it from that perspective made me think, well, it's about letting them know that, hey, you actually have these skills and these abilities, and let's see how we can filter those out into other areas. And the other thing I think that really hit home this morning was that, and I've talked about this before, really our kids have got no choice but to be on devices. The education system has for years now been saying, it's all done on an iPad, put your pens and paper away. Everything's on an iPad. So our kids are being almost forced into using them to go through their educational process. And I think if we try and slow kids down or say, well, we don't want them using them, and we could actually be stunting their growth in a way, because that's the way forward, right? It's not our generation, not my generation, but it's today's generation, and we've got to roll with the punches as parents and say, well, we might not like the idea that schools have introduced iPads as the main form of learning, device, as opposed to the old pen, paper, and calculator. But it is what it is. It's 2026, and I think we have to start to get on board a little bit and understand that if we try and restrict too much, we potentially stunt their growth moving forward in a technological sense, because that's where the world's at. Everything's done on iPads, phones, even the PC and the laptop now. I still use them, but you can kind of see that they are becoming a little bit obsolete. So, again, that's my spin on it. I actually came to realise that they maybe aren't as sinister as we think, and it's maybe because we aren't thinking about it from a different perspective. We're just seeing them as bad things, and we're not seeing the potential that there could be some good there. So I'd love to hear what you think, as always, because I've kind of surprised myself with the way I've sort of flipped a little bit. And again, it's just watching these young guys, the way they navigate. It's just easy, boom, boom, boom. I'm sitting there, my head's spinning watching them. But they know their way around it, right? Because they're so good at it. And it's like everything in life, conditioning, right? Repetition is the mother of all skill. And these guys are just so good at it. So if we can get them to utilise these skills they've learned on their devices and get them to interact and adapt those things in other parts of their life, maybe we might just be on a winner if we look at it from that perspective. Tell me what you think. Cheers.